My best friend locking me out saved my marriage. I'm standing in the rain at 11:47 p.m., pounding on Emma's front door like a lunatic. My designer heels are soaked through, my carefully styled hair is plastered to my skull, and I can hear the party still going strong inside, laughter, music, the clink of wine glasses, while I'm locked out here like some kind of pariah. Emma! I shout, hammering my fist against the oak door until my knuckles ache. I know you can hear me. Open this goddamn door. 20 minutes ago, I'd stepped outside to take a work call, crisis at the Henderson account that couldn't wait until Monday, and when I tried to get back in, the door was locked. Not just locked, but deadbolted. I could see Emma through the front window, deliberately avoiding my gaze as she chatted with our mutual friends from college. My phone buzzes with a text from her, *go home, Sarah. Trust me, *. Trust her? I want to throw my iPhone through her perfectly manicured front window. This is supposed to be my birthday party. Well, technically it was last Tuesday, but Emma insisted on throwing me this big celebration since Mark had to work late and couldn't take me out. She'd spent weeks planning it, sent gorgeous invitations, hired a caterer, even got that expensive wine I love from the little vineyard in Napa. And now she's locking me out of my own party like I'm some kind of unwanted guest. I try calling her, but it goes straight to voicemail. Same with our friend Jessica, and Meredith, and even Tom from Mark's office who I barely know but who's apparently inside drinking my wine while I'm drowning out here. Another text from Emma, *please. Just go home. You'll understand later, *. Understand what? I scream at the door, not caring that her neighbors probably think I've lost my mind. Maybe I have. Emma and I have been best friends since freshman year at Northwestern. She was my maid of honor. She helped me pick out the couch Mark and I are still paying off. She would never humiliate me like this without a reason. But what reason could possibly justify this? The rain is coming down harder now, turning the October night bitter cold. My silk blouse is ruined, and I can feel my mascara running down my cheeks in black streaks. I look like a drowned raccoon, and I'm starting to shiver. One more text, *Sarah, I'm begging you. Go home now, *. There's something desperate in those capital letters that makes my stomach clench. Emma doesn't beg. Emma is the most composed person I know. She once negotiated $1 million advertising deal while food poisoning was literally trying to kill her. I stare at the warm light spilling from her windows, at the silhouettes of people having a wonderful time at what was supposed to be my party, and I feel something crack inside my chest. Not just anger anymore, but hurt. Deep, bewildering hurt. Fine. If Emma wants me gone so badly, I'll go home to my husband and my quiet house and my leftover Thai food from yesterday. I'll go home to Mark, who's probably still in his office on a Saturday night, working on whatever architectural project is consuming his life this week. I stumble back to my car, fumbling with my keys as rain pounds the roof. As I drive away, I catch one last glimpse of Emma in the rearview mirror. She's standing at her front window now, watching me leave, and even through the rain and distance, I can see something in her posture that looks almost like relief. The drive home takes 12 minutes through empty suburban streets, and I spend every one of them rehearsing what I'm going to say to Mark. How I'm going to explain that my best friend has apparently lost her mind and decided to ruin my birthday party for reasons I can't begin to fathom. Mark will know what to do. He always does. He'll probably suggest we invite Emma over for dinner next weekend, let her explain herself in a calm, rational setting. That's how Mark handles everything, methodically, thoughtfully, like he's drafting blueprints for a solution. Our house is dark when I pull into the driveway, which surprises me. It's not even midnight, and Mark said he'd probably be up late working on the Morrison project. His car is here though, parked in its usual spot next to where I always leave mine. I sit in the driver's seat for a moment, engine off, listening to the rain drum against the windshield. The anger is starting to fade, replaced by exhaustion and confusion. Maybe Emma was having some kind of breakdown. Maybe there was a family emergency she couldn't tell me about. Maybe. A light flickers on in our bedroom window. Relief floods through me. Mark must have heard me pull up. He's probably wondering why I'm home so early, why I look like I've been swimming in my clothes. I picture him in his old Northwestern t-shirt and pajama pants, hair sticking up the way it does when he's been running his hands through it while he works. I grab my purse and make a run for the front door, keys ready. The house is warm and quiet when I step inside, a stark contrast to the chaos I left at Emma's home. This is where I should have been all along. Mark? I call out, kicking off my soaked heels. You won't believe what just happened. Emma completely. I stop. There's a sound coming from upstairs. Not Mark's voice, but something else. Something that makes my stomach drop. Laughter. Soft, feminine laughter that definitely isn't mine. I stand frozen in the foyer, rain still dripping from my hair onto the hardwood floor Mark and I picked out together 3 years ago. The sound comes again, followed by a low murmur I recognize as my husband's voice. My brain scrambles for explanations. The TV, maybe. Mark sometimes falls asleep watching late-night comedy shows. Or maybe his sister finally decided to visit from Portland, though she would have called first. She always calls first. But his sister doesn't laugh like that. Breathy and intimate and. The bedroom door creaks open upstairs, and I hear Mark's voice clearly now. I should check if that was Sarah's car. Let me come with you, says a voice I don't recognize. Young sounding. Sweet. My legs move without conscious thought, carrying me toward the staircase. Each step feels like I'm walking through honey, everything slow and surreal. This isn't happening. This can't be happening. I reach the top of the stairs just as our bedroom door opens fully. Mark steps out first, wearing only his boxers, hair disheveled in a way that has nothing to do with work stress. Behind him, adjusting a shirt I recognize as one of mine, is a blonde girl who can't be older than 25. The three of us stare at each other for what feels like an eternity. Mark's face goes white. Sarah. You weren't supposed to be home yet. And suddenly, with devastating clarity, I understand exactly why Emma locked me out of my own party. She knew. The girl, because that's what she is, really, practically a child, scrambles backward into our bedroom like a startled deer. I catch a glimpse of long blonde hair and wide blue eyes before she disappears from view, but not before I notice she's wearing my Northwestern sweatshirt. The one Mark gave me for our second anniversary. The one that still smells like my perfume. Sarah, I can explain, Mark starts, but I hold up my hand. Don't. My voice sounds foreign to my own ears. Calm. Clinical. Just don't. I walk past him into our bedroom, our bedroom, and take inventory like I'm documenting evidence for an insurance claim. The sheets are twisted and pulled free from the corners I tucked in this morning. My pillow, the one with the silk pillowcase I splurged on last month, has a dent that's too small to be from Mark's head. On my nightstand, next to the photo of us from our honeymoon in Greece, sits a wine glass with lipstick prints around the rim. Pink lipstick. I don't own pink lipstick. The girl is pressed against our bathroom door, clutching my sweatshirt closed over what appears to be nothing else. She's even younger up close, maybe 23, 24 tops. Probably still getting carded at restaurants. What's your name? I ask her. She glances nervously at Mark. It's a simple question. Bethany, she whispers. Bethany Chin. Bethany Chin. I roll the name around in my mind, testing how it feels. My husband is cheating on me with someone named Bethany Chin, who looks like she should be studying for midterms instead of sleeping with married men. How long? I ask Mark. He's grabbed a Northwestern t-shirt from our dresser, the same school where he met both me and Emma, I realize with bitter irony. Sarah, can we please talk about this when we're alone? How long? Mark runs his hands through his hair, the gesture I used to find endearing when he was stressed about work deadlines. 3 months. 3 months. I do the math automatically. That means it started right around the time he began working late on the Morrison project. The project I never questioned because Mark's always been dedicated, always been driven. The project that required so many weekend meetings and evening consultations. Where did you meet her? The coffee shop near my office, Bethany answers when Mark doesn't. Her voice is small but clear. I work there part-time while I'm in grad school. Of course. The coffee shop where Mark gets his morning latte before work. Where he probably started chatting with a pretty barista who admired his expensive suits and his wedding ring that screamed successful and unavailable. How original. Grad school for what? I find myself asking. Art therapy. She's still pressed against the bathroom door like she's trying to melt into it. I'm getting my master's at DePaul. Art therapy. She's studying to help people heal from trauma while simultaneously creating some for me. The irony would be funny if I could feel anything besides the strange, detached numbness. My phone buzzes. A text from Emma, asterisk I'm so sorry. Are you okay, asterisk? I stare at the message, and suddenly everything clicks into place. Emma knew because she'd seen them together. Probably multiple times. Maybe at that restaurant downtown where Mark claimed he was meeting clients. Maybe at the art gallery opening Emma dragged me to last month, where she kept checking her phone and seemed distracted. Emma, who spent weeks planning a birthday party she knew I'd have to leave early. Emma, who locked me out and sent me home at exactly the right moment to catch this. Emma, who chose the nuclear option because she knew I'd never believe her without proof. Get out, I tell Bethany. Sarah, Mark starts. Not you. Her. Get your clothes and get out of my house. Bethany scurries around the room collecting her things, a pair of designer jeans that probably cost more than I made in my first job, strappy sandals that click against our hardwood floor, a Coach purse I recognize from the boutique where I shop. Mark bought her that purse. I can tell by the way she clutches it, like it's precious. Like it means something. She's careful not to make eye contact with me as she gathers her scattered belongings, but I watch every movement. She's beautiful in that effortless way young women are, clear skin, bright eyes, the kind of metabolism that lets you eat pizza at midnight without consequences. Everything I was 10 years ago, before stress lines and the beginnings of crow's feet and the slow realization that my body requires actual effort to maintain. I'm really sorry, she whispers as she edges toward the bedroom door. I didn't know you were coming home tonight. The apology hits me wrong. Not that she's sorry for sleeping with my husband, but sorry she got caught. Sorry I disrupted their cozy Saturday evening in my bed. How many times? I ask. She freezes halfway to the door. What? How many times have you been in my house? In my bed? Mark steps between us. Sarah, don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to myself? I laugh, and the sound is sharp enough to cut glass. I'm not the one doing anything, Mark. You did this. Both of you. Bethany looks like she's about to cry. Just a few times. When you were traveling for work, or at Emma's house party that was specifically planned to get me out for the evening? The guilty flush that spreads across her face tells me everything. This wasn't a spontaneous encounter. This was planned. Mark knew I'd be gone all night. He probably told Bethany she could sleep over, maybe make breakfast together in the morning like a real couple. My phone buzzes again. Emma, asterisk please call me. I couldn't let you find out any other way, asterisk. Another piece clicks into place. How long has Emma known? Mark's jaw tightens. I don't know what you mean. She didn't just lock me out randomly. She's been watching you. Following you, maybe. How long has she known you're cheating on me? About 6 weeks, Bethany says quietly. Mark whirls on her. Bethany, don't. She deserves to know. The girl finally shows some backbone. Your friend saw us at Millennium Park. We were having lunch, and she took pictures. Pictures. Emma has pictures of my husband with his barely legal girlfriend, sharing intimate lunches while I was probably sitting in conference rooms, thinking about what to make for dinner. She confronted Mark 2 weeks ago, Bethany continues, ignoring Mark's murderous glare. Told him he had to tell you or she would. And instead you convinced me to have a birthday party at Emma's house. The timeline is crystallizing now. You suggested it, didn't you? Said it would be fun, that I deserved to celebrate properly since you were too busy with work to take me out on my actual birthday. Mark's silence is answer enough. You manipulated me into going so you could have your girlfriend over. In our bed. On my birthday weekend. My voice is still eerily calm, but inside I feel like I'm fracturing. How romantic. Bethany finally makes it to the bedroom door, fully dressed now except for my Northwestern sweatshirt, which she's still wearing. The audacity is breathtaking. The sweatshirt, I say. What? Take off my sweatshirt. She looks at Mark helplessly, but he's staring at the floor like it holds the secrets of the universe. With shaking hands, she pulls the sweatshirt over her head and drops it on our bedroom floor like it's contaminated. Standing there in just a lacy black bra, she looks even younger. Vulnerable. For a split second, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Now get out of my house. She flees. I watch from our bedroom window as Bethany hurries to a silver Honda Civic parked 2 houses down. Smart girl, she knew better than to park in our driveway where the neighbors might see. The car's headlights sweep across our front lawn as she backs out, and then she's gone, leaving Mark and me alone with the wreckage of our marriage. Sarah, please let me explain. Explain what? I turn away from the window. Explain how you've been lying to my face for 3 months. Explain how you brought her into our home while I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for the renovation you wanted. Which part needs explaining, exactly? Mark sits heavily on the edge of our bed, head in his hands. He looks older suddenly, the sharp lines of his face sagging with exhaustion or guilt or both. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? Were you planning to leave me for her? Or just keep screwing around until you got bored? I don't know. His voice is muffled by his hands. I wasn't thinking clearly. The marriage we've been struggling, Sarah. You know we have. The gaslighting starts immediately, right on schedule. Struggling? I've been working my ass off to pay for this house, your car payments, that vacation to Costa Rica you insisted we take in February. If that's struggling, then I'd hate to see what success looks like. That's not what I meant. Mark looks up at me with red-rimmed eyes. We barely talk anymore. We haven't had sex in 2 months. You're always traveling for work or locked in your office on weekends. I felt like I was invisible. So you decided to become visible by sleeping with a 24-year-old barista. I walk to our dresser and start pulling out clothes. Jeans, a sweater, underwear that hasn't been contaminated by whatever happened in our bed tonight. Instead of, I don't know, talking to me about it like an adult. Where are you going? Hotel. I'm not sleeping in those sheets. Sarah, wait. Mark stands up, reaching for me. We can work through this. Couples therapy, whatever you need. It's over with Bethany. I'll never see her again. I dodge his hands. When did you buy her that purse? What? The Coach purse. When did you buy it for her? Mark's face crumbles. Last month. For her birthday. Her birthday. The words taste like poison. You remembered your girlfriend's birthday. Do you remember what you got me for mine? Silence. A gift card to Nordstrom because you were too busy with the Morrison project to actually shop for something personal. But somehow you found time to pick out a $300 purse for Bethany. It wasn't $300. How much? $450. $450. More than I spent on groceries last month. Money from our joint account that I helped earn, spent on a gift for the woman he was cheating with. My phone rings. Emma's name flashes on the screen. Don't answer that, Mark says quickly. Why? Because you're afraid of what she might tell me. I swipe to accept the call. Emma's voice is tight with worry. Sarah, thank God. Are you okay? Did you find them? I found them. Oh, honey. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you weeks ago, but I knew you wouldn't believe me without proof. I had to make sure you saw it yourself. Mark is shaking his head frantically, mouthing hang up, but I ignore him. What else do you know, Em? Can you get somewhere safe? Somewhere you can talk freely? I grab my overnight bag and head for the bedroom door. Mark jumps up to follow me. I'm going to a hotel. Text me the address and meet me there in an hour. Sarah, don't do this, Mark pleads. Don't let Emma poison you against me. She's always been jealous of our marriage. I stop at the top of the stairs and stare at him. Jealous? Emma makes twice what you do and just bought a house in Lincoln Park. What exactly would she be jealous of? She's never gotten over the fact that you chose me instead of her in college. The audacity is breathtaking. Emma is straight, Mark. Happily straight. She's been dating David for 2 years. That doesn't mean she doesn't want to control your life. I can hear Emma's voice through the phone, asking what's happening, if I'm safe. Emma didn't make you cheat. Emma didn't make you lie to me for 3 months. Emma didn't make you spend our money on gifts for your girlfriend. You did that all by yourself. Sarah, please. But I'm already walking down the stairs, leaving my husband and my ruined marriage behind. The Hampton Inn on Michigan Avenue feels like a sanctuary at 1:47 a.m., even if it smells like industrial carpet cleaner and broken dreams. I'm sitting on the edge of the queen bed in room 314, still wearing my damp clothes from the party, waiting for Emma to arrive with whatever nuclear information she's been sitting on for 6 weeks. My phone has been buzzing nonstop since I left the house. 17 missed calls from Mark, 12 text messages that I deleted without reading. The silence when I finally turned it to airplane mode was almost worse than the constant notifications. Emma knocks 3 times, pauses, then twice more, our old college code for it's me, let me in before I freeze to death. She's carrying a manila envelope thick enough to choke a horse and a bag from the 24-hour Walgreens. Emergency supplies, she says, dumping out travel-sized bottles of shampoo, a toothbrush, face wash, and a bottle of wine that probably cost more than this hotel room. I know you didn't pack for an extended stay. I stare at the envelope. How bad is it? Emma sits beside me on the bed, and for the first time since I've known her, she looks genuinely rattled. Her perfectly styled hair is disheveled, her makeup smudged like she's been crying. Bad enough that I've been losing sleep for a month and a half. She opens the envelope and spreads the contents across the hotel comforter. Photos, printed emails, bank statements, credit card bills. A paper trail of Mark's affair laid out like evidence in a murder trial. I hired a private investigator, Emma says quietly. After I saw them together at Millennium Park, I knew you'd never believe me without proof. Real proof. The photos are devastating. Mark and Bethany holding hands outside a restaurant I've never been to. Mark kissing her in the parking lot of her apartment building. Mark with his arm around her at what looks like a gallery opening, both of them laughing at something on his phone. But it's the financial records that make my stomach drop. Jesus Christ. I pick up a credit card statement highlighted in yellow. The Fairmont? He told me he was in Detroit for the Morrison project that weekend. He was at the Fairmont with Bethany. Presidential suite, 2 nights. Look at the date. I look. It was the weekend of my work conference in Atlanta. The weekend Mark said he missed me so much he could barely concentrate, texted me sweet messages about wishing I was home. While he was apparently living it up in a $1,000 a night suite with his barely legal girlfriend. There's more. Emma pulls out another statement. Tiffany and Company. $1,500, 2 weeks ago. $1,500, my voice cracks. What did he buy her for $1,500? Emma slides a photo across the bed. It's Bethany at what appears to be a coffee shop, wearing a delicate tennis bracelet that catches the light like captured stars. She's holding up her wrist, admiring it, while Mark watches with the expression I remember from our early dating days when he'd surprise me with flowers or concert tickets. I don't understand. I'm staring at the bracelet like it might spontaneously combust. We have $17,000 in credit card debt. We've been arguing about money for months. I've been buying generic groceries and skipping lunch to save money, and he's dropping $1,500 on jewelry for her? It gets worse. Emma hands me a printed email exchange between Mark and someone named David Kowalski. The subject line reads, Lease Application, 1247N, Cleveland #4B. I scan the messages, my comprehension lagging behind the words. Lease application. Security deposit. Move-in date, December 1st, he's getting an apartment, I whisper. A 2-bedroom in Lincoln Park. Rent is $3,000 a month. $3,000, I can't finish the sentence. Our mortgage is $2,800. Mark was planning to pay more in rent for his love nest than we pay for our actual home. How is he planning to afford this? Emma's expression grows even more grim. That's what I was afraid you'd ask. She pulls out the final document, a loan application with First National Bank. Mark applied for a home equity line of credit against our house. Our house that I put the down payment on with money from my grandfather's inheritance. Our house where I pay 70% of the mortgage because Mark's architectural firm has been building toward profitability for the past 3 years. The loan amount, $85,000. He can't do this without my signature, I say, but my voice sounds uncertain even to my own ears. Look at the signature page. I look. There's my name in Mark's handwriting, practiced enough that it might fool a busy loan officer who doesn't look too closely. He's been forging my signature. Emma. I can barely breathe. This is fraud. He's stealing from me. The application was submitted yesterday. If it gets approved, the money will hit your joint account within a week. Yesterday. While I was at work, probably thinking about what to make for dinner, Mark was applying to steal my house out from under me to fund his new life with Bethany Chen, art therapy graduate student and destroyer of marriages. My phone, still on airplane mode, shows 3:23 a.m. In a few hours, Mark will probably call my office, tell my assistant I'm having a family emergency. He'll buy himself time to figure out how to spin this, how to make me the villain in his story of midlife awakening. There's something else, Emma says. The private investigator ran a background check on Bethany. What kind of background check? She's not just some innocent grad student who got swept up in an affair with a married man. Emma slides one final photo across the bed. She's done this before. The photo is a screenshot from what appears to be a Facebook page, dated 8 months ago. Bethany Chen, wearing the same sweet smile, her arm around a silver-haired man in an expensive suit. The caption reads, So grateful for everything you taught me, Professor Morrison. Can't wait to start our new life together. Professor Morrison. Morrison, as in the Morrison project that's been consuming Mark's evenings and weekends for 3 months. She targeted him, I breathe. She knew he was married. She knew about the project, probably did research on his firm and figured out he was working on something big for a professor at DePaul. This whole thing was planned. Emma nods grimly. Professor Morrison got divorced 6 months ago. Lost half his assets to his ex-wife. Bethany moved on to greener pastures. I stare at the evidence spread across the hotel comforter, photos, financial records, forged documents, and feel something cold and sharp crystallize in my chest. Not just heartbreak anymore. Something harder. Something that tastes like justice. I need a divorce lawyer, I say. The best divorce lawyer in Chicago. I already made some calls. Margaret Silverman, Emma says, pulling out her phone. She's represented 3 of my clients in their divorces. Never lost a case, and she specializes in financial fraud within marriages. Her retainer is $15,000, but... $15,000? I laugh bitterly. Perfect. Mark's girlfriend costs $1,500, his lawyer will probably cost the same, and now I need $15,000 just to protect myself from my own husband. Emma reaches over and squeezes my hand. I'll cover the retainer. You can pay me back after you take him for everything he's worth. My phone buzzes against the nightstand, I must have accidentally turned off airplane mode. A text from an unknown number, * Sarah, this is Bethany. I know you hate me, but I need to tell you something about Mark. Can we meet tomorrow, *? You've got to be kidding me. I show Emma the message. What could she possibly have to tell me that I don't already know? Emma studies the phone. Maybe we should hear her out. If she's ready to flip on Mark, she might have information we don't. Or it's some manipulative game they're playing together. Good cop, bad cop. She plays the remorseful other woman while he plays the repentant husband. Another text from Bethany, * he doesn't know I'm contacting you. There are things about the Morrison project you need to know. Things that could get Mark in serious trouble, *. I stare at the message. What the hell does that mean? Emma leans closer. The Morrison project has been Mark's biggest client this year, right? The one that supposedly required all those weekend meetings? It's a renovation of some historic building downtown. Mark said it was worth $200,000 in fees. I pause. But if Bethany was sleeping with Professor Morrison before Mark, then she has inside information about the project. Emma's eyes widen. Sarah, what if Mark's been using details from his affair with Bethany to manipulate the Morrison contract? What if this whole thing is bigger than just adultery? My phone buzzes again. Mark inflated the Morrison invoices by 30%. I have copies of the real contracts versus what he billed. Professor Morrison is going to file a complaint with the state licensing board Monday morning. The hotel room feels like it's spinning. He's been committing billing fraud. If the licensing board investigates him, he could lose his architecture license entirely. Emma grabs the bank statements from the bed. Look at these dates again. Every time there's a large Morrison payment deposited, there's a corresponding charge for something with Bethany. The Fairmont weekend, the Tiffany bracelet, even the apartment application fee. He's been using fraudulent income to fund his affair. And if Professor Morrison files a complaint and demands an audit, I can see the dominoes falling. The firm will fire him. He'll lose his license. The Morrison payments will have to be returned, but he's already spent the money. Another text, meet me at Starbucks on Lincoln tomorrow at 10 a.m. Corner table by the window. I'll bring everything I have. I look at Emma. This feels like a trap. Maybe. But if Bethany really does have evidence of billing fraud, that changes everything. That's not just grounds for divorce, that's criminal charges. Prison time. Why would she help me? She's been sleeping with him for 3 months. Emma scrolls through the photos of Bethany and Professor Morrison again. Because she's not in love with Mark. She's a predator who targets married men with money. And right now, Mark is about to become a liability instead of an asset. She's cutting her losses. My phone rings, Mark's name flashing on the screen. Don't answer, Emma warns. I let it go to voicemail, but immediately dial in to listen to the message. Mark's voice, slurred slightly, he's been drinking. Sarah, baby, please come home. I ended things with Bethany. It's over, I swear. She's not stable, Sarah. I'm worried about what she might tell you. She's been blackmailing me, threatening to lie about the Morrison project if I didn't leave you. Don't believe anything she says. She's dangerous. Emma and I stare at each other. He knows, Emma whispers. He knows she's going to talk. I call Mark back at 4:17 a.m. He picks up on the first ring, his voice rough with alcohol and desperation. Sarah, thank God. Where are you? I've been going crazy. Tell me about the Morrison invoices, I interrupt. The silence stretches so long I wonder if the call dropped. Finally, what are you talking about? The billing fraud, Mark. Inflating invoices by 30%. Using fake contracts to steal money from your client. My voice is steady, clinical. How long has it been going on? Sarah, who told you? He catches himself. Bethany. Jesus Christ, she's really doing this. So it's true. Another pause. When Mark speaks again, his voice is different. Harder. The charming, apologetic husband from an hour ago has been replaced by someone I don't recognize. It's not what you think. Morrison was paying me in cash for side work, renovations on his personal properties. The invoices were just a way to make it look legitimate for tax purposes. It's not fraud, it's creative accounting. Creative accounting. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Is that what you're calling theft now? I'm not a thief. The explosion is so sudden it makes me flinch. I work 60-hour weeks for that firm while they pay me peanuts. Morrison was throwing money around like confetti. Did you know he bought Bethany a car? A fucking BMW convertible because she mentioned she liked the color? Emma's eyes widen. She grabs a pen and starts writing, get him to admit everything on record. I put the phone on speaker. So you decided to steal from him because he was generous with his girlfriend? I ask. I wasn't stealing from him. I was providing services. Real services. The fact that I adjusted the paperwork to reflect fair compensation instead of the slave wages he wanted to pay. How much, Mark? How much did you steal? It wasn't stealing, Sarah. Christ, you sound just like, he stops abruptly. Like who? Like Bethany when she found out what you were doing? Mark's breathing is heavy through the phone. I can picture him in our kitchen, probably standing at the island where we used to eat breakfast together, running his hands through his hair the way he does when he's cornered. She wasn't supposed to see the contracts, he says finally. Morrison left his briefcase at her apartment one night, and she went through it. Found the real invoices versus what I was billing the firm. And she blackmailed you. She wanted me to leave you. Said if I didn't file for divorce by Christmas, she'd turn the contracts over to Morrison and the state licensing board. Emma scribbles another note, asterisk how much total? Get numbers, asterisk. What's the total amount you stole? 47,000 over 4 months. Mark's voice is barely a whisper. But Sarah, I was going to pay it back. The home equity loan, that wasn't for an apartment with Bethany. That was to cover the Morrison money before anyone noticed. You were going to pay back stolen money by stealing from our house. I was buying time to figure out a solution. What solution, Mark? You committed fraud. You forged my signature on loan documents. You've been lying to me for months while spending our money on your girlfriend. I'm standing now, pacing the small hotel room. What possible solution exists for any of that? We could disappear. The words come out in a rush. Take the equity loan money and leave Chicago. I have contacts in Portland, architects who'd hire me under a different name. We could start over, Sarah. Fresh slate. Emma's face has gone pale. She writes, he's talking about fleeing the country. You want me to become a fugitive with you? Abandon my career, my life, my family, because you decided to commit fraud and adultery? It's not abandoning anything. It's choosing us. Choosing our marriage over some arbitrary legal bullshit that doesn't matter in the real world. Legal bullshit? I can hear my voice getting higher, but I can't seem to control it. You stole $50,000. You cheated on me with a 24-year-old. You forged my signature. What part of that is arbitrary? The marriage matters more than the money, Sarah. If you love me, if you've ever loved me, you'll help me fix this. And there it is. The manipulation I've been waiting for. The attempt to make his crimes my responsibility. I did love you, I say quietly. But I don't even know who you are anymore. I'm your husband. I'm the man you married 6 years ago, who's made some mistakes but loves you enough to fight for this marriage. The man I married wouldn't have done any of this. The man you married was drowning. Mark's voice cracks. Working for a firm that treats me like garbage while you jet around the country closing deals and making more money than I'll ever see. Do you know what that does to a man's self-esteem? Do you know how it feels to be the accessory husband at your work parties? Emma rolls her eyes and writes, classic deflection, making it your fault. So you decided to commit crimes to feel better about yourself? I decided to take what I deserved. Morrison has more money than God, and he was paying me like some fresh out of college intern. The extra billing just leveled the playing field. And Bethany? Was she leveling some other playing field? Mark is quiet for so long I think he might have hung up. She made me feel important, he says finally. Like I mattered. Like I was worth something. You mattered to me for 6 years, Mark. Apparently that wasn't enough. It stopped being enough when you started treating me like a roommate instead of a husband. I close my eyes. Even now, even caught red-handed with his girlfriend in our bed, even admitting to fraud and forgery, Mark is determined to make this my fault. I'm meeting with a lawyer Monday morning, I tell him. Sarah, don't do this. Please. We can fix this together. No, Mark. You broke this. All of it. And now I'm going to fix it my way. I hang up and stare at Emma's notes spread across the hotel bed. $47,000 in billing fraud. $15,000 home equity loan with forged signatures. Another God knows how much spent on Bethany. My husband isn't just a cheater, he's a criminal who was planning to make me an accessory to his crimes. I'm meeting Bethany tomorrow, I tell Emma. Whatever she has, I need it all. The Starbucks on Lincoln Avenue at 10 a.m. is exactly the kind of place where suburban secrets get traded over overpriced lattes. I spot Bethany immediately. She's chosen the corner table by the window as promised, hunched over a laptop with a stack of papers beside her steaming cup. She looks different in daylight. Younger, if that's even possible, but also harder around the edges. The sweet, startled girl from my bedroom last night has been replaced by someone who looks like she's done this before. Thank you for coming, she says as I slide into the chair across from her. No pleasantries, no apologies for sleeping with my husband. Straight to business. This better be good, Bethany. I've had about 3 hours of sleep and zero patience for games. She pushes a manila folder across the small table. Everything's in there. Original Morrison contracts, Mark's falsified invoices, email chains between Mark and the firm's billing department. He's been systematic about it. I flipped through the documents, my marketing background making it easy to spot the discrepancies. Mark wasn't just padding invoices, he was creating entirely fictional work orders for services that were never performed. Basement waterproofing, $8,000, I read aloud. Except Morrison's building doesn't have a basement. That one was my idea, actually, Bethany says with something that might be pride. Mark was being too conservative with the amounts. I told him to think bigger. I stare at her. You helped him steal this money. I helped him take what Morrison owed him. Do you know what that pretentious ass was paying Mark for legitimate work? $12 an hour. $12. I make more than that serving coffee. So you decided to become partners in crime. Bethany takes a sip of what looks like a vanilla latte with extra foam. I decided to help someone I cared about get treated fairly. Morrison was throwing money around like it meant nothing. Did you know he bought me a $30,000 car after our third date? But he wouldn't pay Mark a living wage for architectural services. Right. And that justifies fraud how exactly? It doesn't. She closes the laptop and leans forward. That's why I'm here. Mark crossed a line when he started forging your signature on loan documents. That's not just stealing from Morrison anymore, that's stealing from you. Very noble. What's the real reason you're helping me? Bethany's carefully composed expression cracks slightly. Because Mark told me he was going to leave you by Christmas. Said he just needed a few more months to get his finances in order, and then we could start our life together. But last night, after you caught us, he called me and said it was over. Said I was a mistake and he was going to fight for his marriage. Ah. Hell hath no fury like a side piece scorned. So this is revenge because he dumped you? This is self-preservation because he's planning to throw me under the bus. Bethany pulls out her phone and scrolls to a text message. Read this. The message is from Mark, timestamped 4:43 a.m. *, Bethany, what happened between us was a huge mistake on my part. I'm going to tell Sarah that you seduced me and threatened to blackmail me with false fraud allegations if I didn't leave my wife. Don't contact me again or I'll file a restraining order *. False fraud allegations, I repeat. Even though you have documented proof that he actually committed fraud. He's going to claim I fabricated everything. That I'm some kind of unhinged stalker who targeted him because of his connection to Morrison. Bethany's voice gets sharper. Mark thinks because I'm young and look innocent, no one will believe I'm smart enough to mastermind anything this complex. I study her face. The sweet, vulnerable girl act from last night is completely gone now. This is someone who helped orchestrate a sophisticated billing fraud scheme and is now methodically destroying her co-conspirator to save herself. What do you want in exchange for this information? Immunity. When this all comes out, and it will come out because Morrison's accountant has been asking questions, I want it on record that I cooperated fully with the authorities. You're not just giving me divorce ammunition. You're asking me to help you avoid criminal charges. We're helping each other, Bethany corrects. You get everything you need to destroy Mark financially and legally. I get documentation that I was a whistleblower, not a co-conspirator. She slides a final document across the table, a notarized statement dated this morning at 8 a.m., detailing her involvement in the Morrison fraud and Mark's plans to use forged loan documents to cover his tracks. Jesus, Bethany. You've been busy since last night. I don't mess around when my future's at stake. She stands up, gathering her papers. The original contracts are in the folder. Email copies of everything are already in your inbox from an anonymous account. Morrison's expecting a call from you Monday morning at 9 a.m. I already told him Mark's wife discovered irregularities in their billing arrangement. You set up a meeting with Morrison? I set up your chance to be the hero who discovered her husband's crimes and immediately reported them to the victim. Much better optics than being the wife who had no idea what was happening. Bethany slings her designer purse over her shoulder. Also, Mark doesn't know I copied his laptop files. The folder has screenshots of his browser history, including research on non-extradition countries and how to establish new identities abroad. My blood runs cold. He was actually planning to flee the country. By Wednesday. There's a flight confirmation to Costa Rica in there, one-way ticket for Tuesday night. He was going to clean out your joint accounts and disappear. What about his plan to reconcile with me? All that bullshit about choosing our marriage? Bethany gives me a look that's almost pitying. Sarah, Mark has been planning his exit strategy since the day Morrison's accountant started asking questions. The only thing that changed was getting caught with me before he could get out clean. She's halfway to the door when I call after her. Bethany. Why Costa Rica? No extradition treaty for financial crimes under $50,000, she says without turning around. Mark did his homework. I'm staring at my phone in the hotel lobby at 6 p.m. Sunday, watching Margaret Silverman's contact information glow on the screen. Emma managed to get me an emergency consultation scheduled for tomorrow at 8 a.m., an hour before I'm supposed to call Professor Morrison. She's expensive, but she's a shark, Emma had said. And right now, you need someone who can smell blood in the water. My finger hovers over Mark's contact. He's called 14 more times since our 4 a.m. conversation, each voicemail progressively more desperate. The last one, left 20 minutes ago, was just him crying. Actually crying into the phone like a child. I should feel something about that. Sympathy, maybe, or at least the ghost of the love I had for him 6 years ago. Instead, I feel nothing but cold calculation. The hotel room door clicks open. Emma's back from her run to my house. She insisted on getting more of my clothes and my laptop while Mark was out. According to her reconnaissance, his car was gone and the bedroom curtains were drawn at 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. He's either at the office or already halfway to Costa Rica, she says, dropping my overnight bag on the bed. But I got everything on your list, plus some interesting intel from your neighbor Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson, our 70-year-old next-door neighbor who sees everything and judges most of it. What did she have to say? Bethany's been coming around for 2 months, not 3 like Mark claimed. Always on Thursday afternoons when you're at your standing marketing meeting. Mrs. Patterson thought she was your new house cleaner because she kept showing up with grocery bags. Grocery bags? Bethany was cooking for him, Sarah. Playing house while you were working. Emma sits heavily in the desk chair. Mrs. Patterson also mentioned seeing Mark loading suitcases into his car yesterday morning. 2 large ones. Yesterday morning. Before my birthday party. Before I caught them together. Mark was already packing for his escape to Costa Rica while planning one last night with his girlfriend in our bed. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Sarah, this is Professor Morrison. I believe we need to speak urgently about your husband's recent work for my foundation. Can you meet tonight? I'm at the Palmer House, room 1247 *. Emma reads the message over my shoulder. Bethany works fast. Should I go? It's not even been 24 hours since I caught Mark cheating. Everything's moving so fast. Morrison's accountant has been asking questions for weeks, according to Bethany. He was going to figure this out with or without her help. At least this way, you control the narrative. My phone rings, Mark again. This time, I answer. Sarah, thank God. I've been trying to reach you all day. Look, I need to tell you something important about Bethany. I already know about the Morrison contracts, Mark. The silence stretches long enough that I check to make sure the call hasn't dropped. What contracts? His voice is carefully neutral now. The real ones versus the ones you build. $47,000 in fraudulent charges. The basement waterproofing for a building that doesn't have a basement was particularly creative. Sarah, whatever Bethany told you, she's lying. She's the one who. I'm looking at your laptop files right now. Screenshots of your research on Costa Rica's extradition policies. Your flight confirmation for Tuesday night. I'm bluffing about having his laptop, but his sharp intake of breath tells me Bethany was right about everything. You went through my computer? Actually, your girlfriend did. Before she decided you were planning to abandon her along with me. Ex-girlfriend, Mark says quickly. And she's unstable, Sarah. Dangerously unstable. She's been blackmailing me for weeks, threatening to fabricate evidence of billing irregularities if I didn't leave you. I've been trying to protect you from her, but she's escalating. Even now, even caught with overwhelming evidence, Mark is trying to rewrite history. Making himself the victim, Bethany the mastermind, me the naive wife who needs protecting. Stop, I tell him. Just stop talking. Professor Morrison is meeting me tonight at 8. I'm going to explain everything, give him the real story about what Bethany's been doing. This can all be fixed, Sarah. We can fix this together. 8 p.m. The same time Morrison wants to meet with me at the Palmer House. Where are you meeting him? His hotel. The Palmer House downtown. Mark's voice brightens, probably thinking he's found an angle to salvage this disaster. Come with me, Sarah. Help me explain to Morrison that we're the victims here. That Bethany manipulated both of us. I look at Emma, who's shaking her head frantically. Okay, I tell Mark. I'll meet you there at 8. The Palmer House lobby feels like a stage set for the final act of a very expensive tragedy. I'm sitting in a leather armchair at 7:45 p.m., watching the elevator doors and trying to steady my breathing. Emma's positioned herself at the bar across the lobby, nursing a martini and pretending to read emails on her phone while keeping an eye on the main entrance. My phone buzzes, running 5 minutes late. Morrison moved our meeting to the restaurant downstairs. Mark *. Another text immediately follows, change of plans. Morrison wants to meet in the restaurant instead of his room. More discreet. Professor Morrison *. I show both messages to Emma, who frowns and walks over. Something's wrong, she whispers. Why would they both suddenly want to meet in a public space? Morrison specifically said room 1247 this afternoon. Before I can respond, I spot Mark stepping out of the elevator. He's wearing his best suit, the charcoal Tom Ford I bought him for our anniversary last year, and carrying a leather portfolio that probably contains whatever fabricated story he's prepared for Morrison. He looks confident, almost cheerful, like he's heading into a routine business meeting instead of a confrontation about fraud and embezzlement. There's Morrison. Emma nods toward the restaurant entrance. Professor Morrison is exactly what I expected, silver-haired, expensive casual clothes, the kind of effortless authority that comes from old money and academic tenure. He's scanning the lobby like he's looking for someone, but his gaze passes right over Mark without recognition. That's when I realize what's happening. They've never actually met, I breathe. All of Mark's meetings were with Morrison's assistant or project managers. Mark's been billing a client he's never even spoken to directly. Emma's eyes widen. Which means Morrison doesn't know what Mark looks like. I watch Mark approach Morrison confidently, hand extended for a business handshake. Morrison looks confused but polite, the way you do when someone clearly knows you but you can't place them. My phone rings. Bethany. Don't let Mark control that conversation, she says without preamble. Morrison thinks he's meeting with you, not Mark. I may have told him that Mark's wife discovered the billing irregularities and wanted to discuss restitution. You set them up to meet each other without telling Morrison what Mark looks like. I wanted to see what Mark would do when confronted directly. Whether he'd double down on the lies or try to pin everything on me. Through the restaurant's glass windows, I can see Mark and Morrison sitting at a corner table. Mark is animated, gesturing with his hands the way he does when he's selling a concept to a client. Morrison's expression is shifting from confusion to concern to something that looks like anger. Morrison's figured out who he is, I tell Bethany. Good. That means Mark's trying his original plan, blame everything on the crazy girlfriend who fabricated evidence. But Morrison has the real contracts, Sarah. The ones I gave him this morning. I watch Morrison pull out a manila folder, identical to the one Bethany gave me at Starbucks. Mark's confident expression falters as Morrison spreads documents across the table between them. What exactly did you tell Morrison about me? I ask. That you discovered your husband's fraudulent billing while reviewing your joint finances during divorce proceedings. That you wanted to make restitution immediately to avoid criminal charges. Bethany pauses. I may have also mentioned that Mark was planning to flee the country Tuesday night. Morrison is standing now, his voice loud enough that other restaurant patrons are starting to stare. Mark is shaking his head emphatically, but Morrison is already walking away from the table, leaving Mark sitting alone with the damning evidence spread in front of him. Morrison's leaving, I tell Emma. And Mark looks like he's about to throw up, Emma observes. My phone buzzes with a text from Morrison. Asterisk Mrs. Chen, I assume you're Sarah? The blonde woman at the bar who's been watching this conversation? We need to talk. My room, 10 minutes, asterisk. Emma and I stare at the message. He thinks I'm you, Emma whispers. Bethany must have described you to him, but you're the one who's been obviously surveilling them. I look at Emma, blonde, professional, carrying herself with the kind of confidence that screams executive. He thinks you're the wronged wife trying to make things right. Mark spotted us now. He's gathering the papers Morrison left behind, his face flushed with what looks like panic and rage. When he stands, he's moving with the jerky, uncontrolled movements of someone whose carefully constructed world is collapsing in real time. Emma, I say quietly, I think you should go talk to Morrison. What? Sarah, that's crazy. I'm not you. No, but you're better at this than I am. You negotiate million-dollar deals for a living. You know how to handle men like Morrison. I watch Mark pushing through the restaurant crowd toward us. And right now, I need Morrison to see me as the competent, proactive wife who discovered her husband's crimes and immediately tried to make things right. Emma glances toward the elevator, then back at Mark, who's almost reached the lobby. What are you going to do about him? I'm going to let him explain himself, I say, standing up and smoothing my dress. I want to hear what story he thinks is going to save him now. Mark reaches me just as the elevator doors close behind Emma, his face a mixture of desperation and fury that I've never seen before. The confident businessman from 5 minutes ago has been replaced by someone who looks genuinely unhinged. What the hell are you doing here? He grabs my arm, his fingers digging in hard enough to leave bruises. Did you set this up with Morrison? Some kind of ambush? I yank my arm free, suddenly very aware that we're in a crowded hotel lobby where anyone could be watching. Let go of me, Mark. Answer the question, Sarah. How did Morrison know to contact you? How did he get your number? His voice is getting louder, and I can see hotel staff starting to take notice. A security guard near the concierge desk is already moving in our direction. Maybe because your billing fraud was so obvious that even Professor Morrison's accountant figured it out. I keep my voice level, professional. Or maybe because your girlfriend decided to save herself by throwing you under the bus. Mark's face goes white. Bethany did this. She contacted Morrison directly, didn't she? She gave me documentation of $47,000 in fraudulent billing, Mark. Basement waterproofing for a building with no basement. Electrical work that was never performed. Renovation consultations that happened while you were supposedly in Detroit on business. She helped me create those invoices. Mark's voice cracks. She suggested half the line items. She can't just. She can't what? Testify against you when the FBI starts investigating? I let that sink in. Because that's what happens next, Mark. Federal wire fraud charges. Prison time. The security guard is close enough now that Mark notices and lowers his voice, but his hands are shaking. Sarah, you have to believe me. I never meant for any of this to happen. The Morrison billing started as a mistake. I accidentally submitted the wrong invoice amount, and when they paid it without questioning, I thought maybe I could do it again just once to cover some expenses. What expenses? We don't have any major expenses except the mortgage and your car payment. Mark runs his hands through his hair, leaving it disheveled. The engagement ring. What engagement ring? For Bethany. I was going to propose after I divorced you. The ring cost $18,000, and I needed to make the payments without you seeing them on our credit card statements. The hotel lobby seems to tilt sideways. You bought an engagement ring for your girlfriend while married to me. With money you stole from a client. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I was going to pay Morrison back once the divorce was final and I could access my half of our assets. Your half of our assets? I laugh, but it sounds hysterical even to my own ears. Mark, you don't have half of anything. The house is in my name. The car is financed through my credit. Your architecture firm has been operating at a loss for 2 years. What assets did you think you were entitled to? Mark's face flushes red. I'm your husband, Sarah. I've contributed to this marriage for 6 years. Just because you make more money doesn't mean I don't deserve. You deserve $18,000 to buy your mistress an engagement ring? The security guard is standing right behind Mark now. Is there a problem here, ma'am? Mark spins around, and for a second I think he might actually swing at the guard. This is a private conversation between my wife and me. Sir, I'm going to need you to lower your voice. You're disturbing other guests. My phone buzzes, Emma texting from upstairs. Morrison wants to meet with FBI Financial Crimes Unit tomorrow morning. He's treating this as identity theft, says someone has been impersonating an authorized contractor. Wants to press full charges. Identity theft. I hadn't even considered that angle, but Morrison's right. Mark has been billing work under contracts he was never authorized to modify, using Morrison's name and signature on approval documents. That's not just fraud, it's identity theft, which carries federal penalties. Mark, I say quietly, you need to call a lawyer. A criminal defense lawyer. Tonight. I don't need a lawyer if you help me fix this. Tell Morrison it was a misunderstanding. Tell him we'll pay back everything with interest. With what money? You spent it on jewelry for Bethany and planning your escape to Costa Rica. Mark's eyes dart around the lobby like he's looking for an exit. The Costa Rica thing, that was just research. I wasn't actually going anywhere. I was trying to figure out how to handle Morrison's threats. What threats? Morrison's been blackmailing me for weeks. Said he'd report the billing discrepancies unless I paid him $50,000 in cash. The flight booking was just me panicking, thinking about worst-case scenarios. Even now, even caught in lie after lie, Mark is still trying to rewrite reality. Making Morrison the criminal, himself the victim, everyone else the villain in his story of innocence betrayed. My phone rings, Bethany again. Don't believe whatever Mark's telling you about Morrison blackmailing him, she says before I can speak. Mark showed me the Costa Rica research 3 weeks ago. He was planning to disappear the day Morrison's accounting audit finished, with or without getting caught. I look at Mark, who's watching me with desperate hope, still believing he can manipulate his way out of this disaster. The jig is up, I tell him, and hang up on Bethany. The elevator arrives with a soft ding, and Emma steps out looking like she's just negotiated the deal of her life. Which, in a way, she has. Morrison wants to see you, she tells me, completely ignoring Mark. Room 1247, now. He's got FBI agent Patricia Kowalski on speakerphone from the Financial Crimes Unit. Mark goes pale. FBI? Sarah, you can't, this is still fixable between Morrison and me. We don't need federal agents involved. Actually, we do, Emma continues, still not acknowledging Mark's existence. Because Morrison's foundation isn't just any client. It's a registered nonprofit that receives federal education grants. When you defraud a federally funded organization, that's a federal crime with mandatory minimums. I watch Mark's face as the implications hit him. Not just fraud. Not just theft. Federal fraud against a government-funded nonprofit, which probably carries a 5-year minimum sentence. How much? I ask Emma. Morrison's been paying invoices for 18 months, not 4. Bethany was conservative in her estimates. Emma pulls out her phone and reads from her notes. Total fraudulent billing, $137,000. The number hits me like a physical blow. $137,000. More than I make in 2 years after taxes. More than our house is worth. Mark actually staggers backward. That's not, I never, the total was maybe 50, 60,000 at most. Morrison has every invoice, Mark. Going back to March of last year. Emma finally looks at him, and her expression is arctic. Including bills for renovation work on buildings that don't exist. Consultation fees for projects Morrison never approved. Material costs for supplies that were never delivered. March of last year? I stare at Mark. You've been doing this since before you even met Bethany? Mark's mouth opens and closes like he's trying to speak underwater. The early ones were legitimate errors. Billing mistakes, wrong amounts on real work. Morton Hall renovation, $43,000, Emma reads from her phone. Except Morton Hall was demolished in 2018. Morrison has the demolition photos. The hotel security guard is still hovering nearby, and now he's been joined by what looks like a manager in an expensive suit. Mark notices them too and lowers his voice to an urgent whisper. Sarah, please. Go upstairs and tell Morrison this was all a misunderstanding. Tell him I'm prepared to make full restitution plus penalties. We can settle this without involving law enforcement. With what money, Mark? You don't have $137,000. The house. We can mortgage the house, liquidate our retirement accounts. Asterisk my asterisk house. My retirement accounts. The words come out sharper than I intended. You want me to destroy my financial future to pay for crimes you committed to fund your affair? Mark grabs my hands, and his palms are slick with sweat. It wasn't supposed to be an affair. I was going to leave you cleanly, Sarah. Divorce you properly, split our assets, start fresh with Bethany. The billing thing was just supposed to give me enough money to afford a decent apartment while we worked out the settlement. So you've been planning to divorce me for over a year. Not planning, exactly. Just keeping options open. Our marriage hasn't been good for a long time, Sarah. You know that. My phone buzzes with a text from Morrison, asterisk Mrs. Hamilton, Agent Kowalski needs to speak with you within the next 10 minutes or she's issuing a warrant for your husband's arrest tonight. Room 1247, asterisk. I show the message to Mark, whose face goes gray. A warrant? They can't arrest me without. I haven't been formally accused of anything. Mark, you literally confessed to fraud in the restaurant 20 minutes ago. In front of witnesses. Emma points toward the restaurant, where I can see several diners still watching our drama unfold through the glass windows. Morrison recorded the entire conversation on his phone. He what? Audio recording of you admitting to falsifying invoices, explaining your billing methodology, and blaming Bethany for helping you be creative with the numbers. Emma's smile is razor sharp. Morrison may be an academic, but he's not stupid. Mark looks around the lobby frantically, like he's actually considering making a run for it. The security guard takes a step closer. Sarah, you have to help me. I'm your husband. Whatever's happened between us, whatever mistakes I've made, you can't let them arrest me. Please. I look at this man I married 6 years ago in a ceremony that cost $30,000 and was supposed to represent forever. This man who's been systematically stealing from clients, lying to my face, and planning his escape to another country with money he embezzled to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring. I'll help you, I tell him. His face floods with relief. Thank you. God, Sarah, I knew you'd. I'll help you find a good criminal defense attorney. Someone who specializes in federal fraud cases. The hope dies in his eyes like someone turned off a switch. Agent Kowalski is waiting. The FBI Financial Crimes Unit apparently doesn't sleep, because Agent Patricia Kowalski is sitting in Professor Morrison's hotel suite at 10:30 p.m. on a Sunday night, looking like she just stepped out of a recruitment poster. Mid-40s, sharp gray suit, the kind of focused intensity that makes guilty people confess to crimes they didn't even commit. Mrs. Hamilton, she says, rising to shake my hand. I appreciate you coming forward with this information. Financial fraud cases like this depend on cooperation from family members who discover the irregularities. Morrison gestures for me to sit in the chair across from Agent Kowalski's makeshift command center, laptop open, legal pads covered in notes, my husband's fraudulent invoices spread across the coffee table like evidence at a murder trial. Before we begin, Agent Kowalski continues, I need to clarify your legal status in this investigation. Are you here as a witness reporting suspected criminal activity, or as a potential co-conspirator seeking immunity? The question hits me like ice water. Co-conspirator? I had no idea Mark was doing any of this. You share joint bank accounts where the fraudulent payments were deposited. You filed joint tax returns that would have shown significant unexplained income increases. You're listed as co-owner on credit cards used to purchase items with stolen funds. Agent Kowalski's voice is professionally neutral, but her eyes are watching my every reaction. From the Bureau's perspective, either you're remarkably unobservant about your own finances, or you were willfully blind to obvious criminal activity. Emma, still playing the role of concerned friend, leans forward. Agent Kowalski, Sarah works in marketing and travels constantly for her job. Mark handled all their financial paperwork, taxes, bills, investment accounts. She trusted him completely. Trust is admirable in a marriage, Agent Kowalski replies. But it's not a legal defense for money laundering. Money laundering. The words make my stomach clench. I never laundered any money. I didn't even know there was extra money to launder. The Tiffany bracelet your husband purchased for Ms. Chen was bought with a credit card linked to your joint checking account. The account where Morrison's fraudulent payments were deposited. Agent Kowalski slides a bank statement across the table. You're telling me you never noticed an extra $47,000 appearing in your account over 4 months? I study the statement, seeing our financial life through a federal agent's eyes. Mark wasn't just stealing from Morrison, he was systematically moving money through our accounts to obscure the paper trail. Deposits from Morrison's foundation, immediate transfers to savings accounts I didn't know existed, then strategic withdrawals that funded his secret life with Bethany. He set up automatic transfers, I realize, pointing to a series of transactions. Every time a Morrison payment came in, it got moved to this savings account ending in 7392. I've never seen this account before. The account was opened 4 months ago using your social security number and forged signature, Morrison says quietly. We confirmed that this afternoon when the bank manager reviewed the signature cards. More forgery. More identity theft. Mark didn't just cheat on me, he stole my identity to hide his crimes. My phone buzzes, a text from Mark. Asterisk Sarah, please. Don't say anything else to the FBI without me present. Whatever they're telling you about money laundering is bullshit meant to scare you into cooperating. Come home and we'll figure this out together, asterisk. Agent Kowalski notices me reading the message. Mr. Hamilton is contacting you? He wants me to stop cooperating with you. That's obstruction of justice if he's trying to interfere with the federal investigation. She makes a note on her legal pad. May I see the message? I hand over my phone, watching Agent Kowalski's expression grow harder as she reads Mark's text. Mrs. Hamilton, I'm going to be very direct with you. Your husband has committed wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, and tax evasion totaling over $100,000. Those charges carry a potential sentence of 15 to 20 years in federal prison. She looks up from her notepad. If he's convicted of attempting to obstruct this investigation by coaching you to withhold information, that's another 5 years. 25 years. Mark could spend the rest of his productive adult life in federal prison. However, Agent Kowalski continues, if you cooperate fully with our investigation and help us recover the stolen funds, the Bureau has no interest in pursuing charges against you. We believe you're a victim of your husband's crimes, not a co-conspirator. Emma squeezes my hand. What kind of cooperation are we talking about? Complete financial disclosure. Bank records, credit card statements, tax returns for the past 3 years. Documentation of any large purchases or unexplained expenses. Agent Kowalski pulls out a tablet and starts typing. We'll also need Mrs. Hamilton to participate in a controlled phone call with her husband tomorrow morning. Controlled phone call? You'll call Mr. Hamilton while FBI technicians record the conversation. We'll provide you with specific questions designed to get him to admit to the full scope of his criminal activity. Morrison clears his throat. Agent Kowalski, there's something else Sarah should know. The Costa Rica flight isn't Mark's only escape plan. This afternoon, we discovered he's been researching how to liquidate retirement accounts for cash without spousal consent. What does that mean? I ask, though I'm afraid I already know. Agent Kowalski slides another document across the table. Your 401k account was accessed Friday afternoon. Someone initiated a hardship withdrawal request for the full balance, $68,000. The hotel suite starts spinning. Mark hasn't just been stealing from Morrison, he's been systematically draining our entire financial future to fund his escape. The house, the retirement accounts, probably our emergency savings too. The withdrawal requires your signature for final approval, Agent Kowalski continues. But based on the pattern of document forgery we've discovered, we believe Mr. Hamilton was planning to forge your consent and take the money with him to Costa Rica. My phone buzzes again, asterisk Sarah, where are you? I came back to the hotel, but you're not in the lobby. We need to talk before you do something we'll both regret, asterisk. Agent Kowalski reads the new message and frowns. He's looking for you. Mrs. Hamilton, I think it's time we brought your husband in for questioning. The controlled phone call happens at 8 a.m. Monday morning in a cramped FBI field office that smells like burnt coffee and broken dreams. I'm sitting at a metal desk with headphones on, staring at my phone while Agent Kowalski and 2 technicians monitor the recording equipment. Remember, Agent Kowalski says quietly, we need him to confirm the total amount stolen, admit to forging your signatures, and ideally get him to mention the Costa Rica plan. Don't let him turn this into a discussion about your marriage. I dial Mark's number, my hand steadier than I expected. He answers on the first ring. Sarah, thank God. Where did you disappear till last night? I waited in that hotel lobby until 3 a.m. I needed time to think, Mark. About everything. I glance at the script Agent Kowalski prepared. I want to understand exactly what happened with Morrison's money before I decide whether to help you. Help me? His voice brightens with desperate hope. You mean you're willing to work through this together? That depends. I need you to be completely honest with me. No more lies, no more blame shifting. Just the truth. Mark takes a shaky breath. Okay. Yes. Complete honesty. How much money did you actually steal from Morrison? It wasn't stealing, Sarah. It was compensation for work that was undervalued. How much, Mark? A pause. 137,000. But over 18 months, so it's not like I took it all at once. Agent Kowalski gives me a thumbs up and makes notes. And you used my signature to open that savings account? I had to. The payments needed somewhere to go where Morrison's people couldn't trace them immediately. I was protecting both of us. By committing identity theft. By buying us time to figure out a clean exit strategy. Mark's voice gets more animated. Sarah, listen to me. The retirement account withdrawal, I can cancel that. The Costa Rica flight was just a backup plan in case Morrison tried to have me arrested before we can negotiate a settlement. So you were planning to take my retirement money and flee the country. I was planning to secure our future. Do you know what happens to architects who get convicted of billing fraud? I'd never work again. We'd lose everything anyway. Agent Kowalski slides me a note, ask about Bethany's engagement ring. What about the engagement ring you bought Bethany? The silence stretches so long I think the call dropped. That was a mistake, Mark finally whispers. A stupid, impulsive mistake. I was going to return it. You bought an $18,000 engagement ring that you were going to return? I wasn't thinking clearly. Bethany kept pushing for commitment, threatening to expose everything if I didn't prove I was serious about leaving you. The ring was supposed to buy me time to figure out how to handle Morrison and divorce you properly. Agent Kowalski writes, asterisk perfect. He just admitted to being blackmailed into deeper crimes, asterisk. So Bethany was blackmailing you? From the beginning. She found out about the early Morrison billing discrepancies and said she'd report me unless I left you and married her. Everything escalated from there. I almost feel sorry for him. Even now, even caught with overwhelming evidence, Mark is still trying to make himself the victim of circumstances beyond his control. The FBI is going to arrest you today, I tell him quietly. What? Sarah, no. You promised you'd help me fix this. I am helping you, Mark. I'm helping you face the consequences of your choices instead of running away to Costa Rica like a coward. Sarah, please. I hang up and remove the headphones. Agent Kowalski is smiling. Mrs. Hamilton, your husband just confessed to wire fraud, identity theft, and admitted to being in a conspiracy relationship with Ms. Chin. That's everything we need. 6 months later, I'm sitting in Emma's backyard watching her plant tomatoes while I read the final divorce decree. Mark pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges and got 12 years with possibility of parole in 7. Bethany got 18 months and community service for cooperation. Emma looks up from her garden, dirt streaked across her cheek. Any regrets? I think about the question seriously. My marriage is over. My husband is in federal prison. I had to sell the house to pay restitution to Morrison, though the FBI recovered most of the stolen money from accounts Mark thought he'd hidden. But I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in years. I got promoted to regional director because I'm no longer distracted by Mark's work crises and manipulative demands for attention. My savings account is growing instead of mysteriously shrinking. The only regret I have, I tell Emma, is that it took you locking me out of my own party to show me who I really married. Emma grins and tosses a clump of dirt at me. Best birthday gift I ever gave you. She's right. Getting locked out that night was the beginning of getting my life back. Sometimes the best thing a friend can do is force you to see the truth you've been avoiding. Even if it means destroying everything you thought you wanted to save what actually matters. My freedom. My future. My ability to trust my own judgment again. Emma saved my marriage, all right. She saved me from staying in it.